Hey,
Preparing.
Okay, we are live, Dato.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are live again. This is the COVID-19 Law Series organized by the China ASEAN Legal Cooperation Center, CALCC. Today, we are very, very honored to have our friend from Myanmar. His name is Mr. Khin Maung. He's the Central Executive Committee and a member of the Independent Lawyers Association of Myanmar. In short, we call it ILAM. The ILAM is the logo that you'll see behind him. So we are very happy to have him here. And also we see that Mr. Kenneth, he is also part of the CALCC. Good to see him on the show again.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. As usual, we'll wait for maybe about 2 to 3 minutes for the stream to go live onto Facebook and also for more people to join us in this session. For those who have joined us, thank you. It is a public holiday in, I think, a few countries around the world because this is a Vesak Day. So in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, we observe this as a public holiday. So I think most of us are at home today. Thank you for taking up your time during this public holiday to join us in this session with Myanmar. So for those who are watching us live now, please feel free to share it out, this live stream, and we will wait for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes for more people to be able to join us. All right, and I'm also sharing this this live stream as we speak. All right, so I think we shall start. A very good morning again for those who are watching us live. We have Mr. Khin Maung. Hello, good morning. Ming Galaba. Hi. Okay, so we'll say hello to Kenneth first. Hi, Kenneth. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well.
I think we have not met in person for the entire MCO until today, but
Yes.
It's good to see Kenneth again. I think he has joined us in several shows for this COVID-19 with the friends from different countries. Today, we are very honored and we are extremely happy to have Mr. Khin Maung. Mr. Khin Maung, can you hear us clearly?
yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes.
Okay, good. Mingalaba.
Mingalaba.
Okay, good morning for those who are watching us live from Myanmar. Mr. Khin Maung is based in Naypyidaw, the capital city of Myanmar. Is an extreme honor to have a member, a Central Executive Committee, and a member of the Independent Lawyers Association of Myanmar, ILAM, to be able to join us today to understand the legal landscape, to understand the situation in Myanmar. First of all, I think I would like Kenneth to say hello and also to do a self-introduction to the viewers online. Kenneth?
Hi, good morning. Mingalaba, Mr. Khin Maung. How are you? Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth. Again, we are in this COVID-19 law series. Of course, with our good-looking moderator, Dr. Teh Tai Yong. And of course, today we have our good friend from Myanmar, Mr. Khin Maung. Now, a little bit of a history. I met Mr. Khin Maung in Yangon back in 2017. At that time, I was appointed by the Independent Bar Association to be a consultant for ILAM, the Independent Lawyers Association of Myanmar, to help them to set up the ILAM office in Yangon. So that was the time I met Mr. Khin Maung. Very nice gentleman, always willing to share his knowledge with young lawyers especially with young lawyers. So it has been my honor knowing him. So when I contacted him to ask him to join our series, he gladly took up the invitation. So again, Mingalaba, thank you very much.
Mingalaba. Yes.
Let me allow Mr. Uki Mangzo to do his self-introduction of himself. Thank you.
Yes. Mingalaba. Everybody, good morning.
Mingalaba.
Yes.
Good morning.
I am Khin a Burmese Myanmar national, and I am the executive committee member and spokesperson of Independent Lawyers Association of Myanmar, well known in this country as ILAM in its monograph. Yeah. ILAM is an organization that is establishing itself to be a nationwide lawyers organization, national lawyers organization, that was established in 2015, and it has its first congress in 2016, January. It was first under the auspices of International Bar Association, and Myanmar national leader Dato Aung San Suu Kyi also sponsored to establish our organization. Our organization is a lawyers organization that intends to be a nationwide organization. And now we have about 4,000 members, and we have branches every region of our country. We're doing our organization's work is to assist the government and to assist the people to establish the rule of law and to get human rights more and more to do in the access of the people like this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I see, before we go into the discussion, I see that you're wearing a black coat. Is that a attire for a national attire for Myanmar?
Yes, this is the national attire and the dress suit of the lawyers.
Oh, dress suit for lawyers.
Yes, dress suit of the lawyers. This is the white black coat. Under it, a white shirt, or without any collar, right? Without any collar. Yes, and about it we dress the black jacket. And all when we enter the court, especially the high court, then we have to wear the black gowns.
I see. So Mr. Uki Mangzao is very well dressed today. Very well dressed today. Thank you so much. That shows that how serious it takes for this today's discussion. Now we have been reading the reports from the statistics that Myanmar today, as of today, we have about slightly more than 160 confirmed cases. It's about 6, if I'm reading it correctly, six deaths at this moment. This number is relatively smaller compared to a lot of other countries around the world. So we would like to understand what's the situation like currently in Myanmar, and also specifically in the city you are based currently, the capital, Naypyidaw.
Yes. For the present, to borrow the words of Dr. Jost, the representative of WHO, World Health Organization in Myanmar, to borrow his words, the spread of coronavirus 19 disease the spread of it is manageable in this country. Yes, as you have already noticed, the virus was found in 161 persons, that is 161 cases of coronavirus diseases, and out of that, only 6 persons were dead, 6 death cases. That is maybe that we have to manage it, and we have to keep in mind for the seriousness. But compare it to our neighbors, for example, Thailand, Bangladesh, India, China, although those are our neighbor countries, to compare it with our neighbor countries, that is a small number, and as Dr. Josh was, it is still manageable in this country. But we are the citizens of a country are a little bit careless about the danger and about the seriousness of the case. So the government is trying to educate and to make the people conscious of the seriousness of the disease. Okay, this is the situation.
Yes.
For example, statistical situation in this country. Yeah.
I see. Is there any order or directive from the government of Myanmar for a lockdown where they restrict people from moving? Like what we see the lockdown, yes.
Yes, there is no national lockdown, but a regional lockdown. Whenever a person was found to have disease of coronavirus 19, then that area was under the social lockdown, and the whole township. A person was found in a township to having affected by the coronavirus 19 disease, that township has to be locked down.
I see. All right. That makes sense because at this moment, I think WHO says that it's manageable. And so you are dealing with it case-to-case basis, very specific in this township. When there's a confirmed case, then you lock down the particular to contain and to control. Now, when during in the past few weeks, when we have these COVID-19 cases, what are the impacts towards the businesses, to the enterprises, to the companies? Do you see that the situation is that the business is going down, or what's the situation like in Myanmar?
Yeah, the businesses are not on the same level before the coronavirus period. Yeah? But the businesses, all businesses are not shut down. When a person, a labor or an employee was found with coronavirus disease, that business is to be locked down. Yeah. For example, there are in a factory, that comprise of about 2,000 employees. Garment factory like this, making government garment to export to United States or like this. In that garment factory, consisting of 200 or 200 and more laborers, when one person was found to have coronavirus disease, then that factory has to be shut down like this.
I see.
And in some factories, I think not very long ago, 2 or 3 days ago, one factory shut down, and it declared that that there was no one, not coronavirus disease was detected, but that factory declared that it put out a statement and in the newspapers that because of the labor conflicts like this, there are some sit-ins and sit-outs, demonstrations in the factory like this, demanding more production and demanding more wages like this. So the government, she said, that factory said, the government cannot protect the works like this. So he had to shut out, and to pay the 3-month wages for the laborers like this. There are some shutdowns, and so there is some bad effects on the businesses in the country. Yeah.
I see. I see. When you say when there's a confirmed cases of coronavirus, then the township will actually lock down and the company will shut down.
Yes.
From the legal point of view, I take the example of the 2,000 employees factory just now. When one person is confirmed with the coronavirus, where the factory has to shut down. So how about the wages? Do they continue to pay the wages, the salary to the staff? From the legal point of view, what's the labor law?
Yes, under the present labor laws in the country, Myanmar labor laws, the factory, when it was any work or any site or any factory like this, any office is shut down or is out of function for legal and for some legal and reasonable ground, then the employer has to pay the employee the daily wages or monthly wages like this.
I see.
I think the government works and companies, for some companies, they instruct the employees to stay at home and to do their work from home like this. So the work carry on. Therefore, there are no problem of not having wages and not giving wages like this.
I see. I see. And how long, let's say there's one confirmed case of coronavirus, how long the company needs to shut down? Is it like 14 days or 28 days or even longer? How long is the shutdown?
There is no hard and fast rule, strict regulations to shut down for how many hours. But for the present, factory has to shut down 21 days like this.
I see. All right. Yes, I think even the quarantine of the people, they will take a standard of 14 days or 21 days. That's the general practice. Now, back to the companies where you say that under the labor law, the company is shut down because of a reasonable ground or legal ground. The company has to continue to pay the wages. But for a factory of 2,000 staff with no production, it's very hard to keep on paying the salary. So that's a problem that we see around the world in many countries where companies, factories are shut down. With no income, then the company's cash flow is very tight. We cannot pay. So my question is there any subsidy from the government to help the company to pay the wages?
Yeah, up to the present, there is no subsidy from the government. Yeah. But I think the government in the newspapers and in the interviews of the high officials, government officials with the press, I think they are thinking about the subsidy. And there are some aids from abroad. I think from the some United Nations sponsored some aids, and some aids flew in from abroad to our country, and that the government said it will use those funds to help the businesses, but especially the small businesses, SME, yes, small and medium enterprises.
I see, I see, I see. Now, when it comes to the doing business, now if they are shut down, for a period of time, in terms of the business premises, the factory, the offices, do they need to continue to pay the rent, the rental? Is it something that they have to continue, or can they, the tenants, say that this they are not able to operate because of the legal reason, because of the shutdown due to coronavirus, therefore they don't have to pay a rental. So what's the legal position there?
Yeah, there is no precedent.
Yes, correct.
This problem in the country. Yeah. In the country, there are in 1988, as you all know, the 88 circumstances, 88 in our country, the 88 revolution, I guess, 88 upheaval. All the country was in turmoil and that period for nearly 1 month. And that's in that period, the companies and the factories have to shut down. But when they open and continue again, there is no problem because the companies carry on with the work and the workers came in to do it. But this time, there may be some longer period. So there is no precedent for this. But,
I see.
Yeah, but the existing, the current laws as the labor laws, for the moment, the employers has to subsist for the employees in this time, in this period, for legal reasons when the work has been shut down like this. But I think the employers have to do some complaint to the government now, and so there must be serious negotiation between the employees and the employers, and the government has to intervene to make just situation, just results like this, solution.
Sure. Kenneth, Kenneth, I heard you have a question for our speaker here.
Yes. Yes, Mr. King Mangzo, for the benefit of our audience here and those who are following us on this session today, Mr. U King Mangzo is a very famous criminal lawyer in Myanmar. So I remember the few sessions that I had with him, sitting down and discuss about criminal law, about the cases that he has done, and also about his passion in helping young lawyers in Myanmar to go into the field, because lawyering work in Myanmar is very different from other countries. There are a lot of lawyers there who are not full-time lawyers because there were not enough work for them to do as full-time lawyers. So going back to the questions the question I have in mind, is that Mr. Kim Mangzo, this can be a little bit sensitive. If you don't feel like answering, you can say so, okay? But I feel I need to ask because you see, if we look at the geographical situation condition in Myanmar, which is very near to China, right? And also Myanmar being such a big country, okay, in terms of land space and also in terms of population. I think Myanmar's population is close to about 55, 56 million now.
56 million,
yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that is about 20.
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah, so that is about 20 over million more than Malaysia. All right, but if we look at the statistics of the number of cases, okay, taking into consideration all the geographical situation and socio-economic situation in both countries. Malaysia seems to have far too many cases compared to Myanmar. We have 6,000 over cases, confirmed cases so far. We have more than 100 deaths, all right? And our cases have been increasing every day. So my question to Mr. Kim Ong-zo is there, because I did over the course of these few months, these 2 months, spoke to a few friends of mine from Myanmar. Some are lawyers, some are business people, and they gave me answers that I'm not very I'm not very convinced, because I don't think there are many. My point is there are not many news about the actual situation of the COVID-19 in Myanmar. So there was one lawyer who told me that that there is a possibility that the government may not want the real situation to be made known to people. So I want to understand from you whether is there such issue we are facing in Myanmar now?
Yeah. And first, as an introduction for my answer to your question to Kenneth, for yourself, for yourself, you have already known about me, but I will clarify. I will clarify, and I will tell about myself a little bit more to make the picture more clear. Yeah? You said I may be afraid or I may be anxious to answer the anxious questions. But I think, Kenneth, you know about me, and I am the one who always willingly put my head whenever I found a news. Whenever I found a news, I'm willing to put my head through it and put my neck through the news like this, because I'm a human rights defender, not even a defense lawyer, a criminal lawyer. I'm a human rights defender, because I myself has been in prison for 9 years. For 9 years, since when I was 16, 17 years old, I was when I entered the Mandalay University as a sophomore, I distributed the United Nations Human Rights Declaration, HRD, and in the campus, and the military government at that time in 1966-67 grabbed me and put me to jail like this. After that, I went in and out of jail, and after that, I practiced law, and I found my job as a lawyer, not even a defense lawyer, as a human rights defender. In this country, I have stood for many famous cases, like the foreign correspondents, foreign journalists that was put on trial for having hoisted a drone in front of the building, like the TRD for Turkish journalists, and the Reuters journalists that has put the massacre of Indian, the Rohingya people, 10 Rohingya people massacred by the military, by the army, and that is reported. Those two journalists reported Wallon and Joshua Wu, and I stood for them like this. And in the Naypyidaw, a very famous child rape case I represented this. So I am a human rights defender, and I'm not very afraid of any hard questions or sensitive questions. So I can answer
Thank
all
you.
questions like this. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
In a country, to be, as Kenneth has said, many law graduates. Now, there are many law graduates in this country, but not many lawyers in this country. Not because the cases are rare, the cases are abundant. We have to tackle all these cases, criminal cases, civil cases, and especially the human rights breaching cases like this. But the incentive to be a lawyer is not very big, because we cannot get a very not very good amount of rates or money for handling a case like this. And in the past, I think only in a decade, in 2010, like this, in 2010 afterwards, we can practice as defense lawyers somewhat freely. And in the past, before 2010, if we have to handle a wrong defendant, that means that the case was tried by the government or by the military or by big companies, crony companies like this. If we have to stand for them, for those defendants, even the lawyers have to be afraid of their lives and their freedom like this.
Yeah.
So there are, as Kenneth said, there are not very much lawyers proportionate with the population of this country. But now there are not, because of the incentives, because lawyers are still meager in this country. But like people like me, who has taught the juniors to work for the people, to work for human rights, to work for the downtrodden people, to work for the marginalized people. So lawyers are becoming active and to participate in this country like this. And as for the geographical situation, geopolitics, in the view of politics, some said that China is a very frightening neighbor like this, but I'm not on that opinion. China is our neighbor country. Whether we like it or not, we cannot go away. We cannot shift our position to, for example, near the United States like this. We have to stay here. So we have to stay and we have to make business deals, and we have to many things to deal with China. Maybe China is somewhat, what's the word, fraternizing or some chauvinistic like this, maybe. But we have to stand against that chauvinism like this, and we have to make use of international pressure to do it. And something that the BRI, Build and Road Initiative of China, is a very serious and very dangerous thing. We're not, for me, Myanmar has no need to be afraid of that BRI. We can make use for the interest of a country like this. Yeah, this is my opinion of geopolitics near the China, India, like this. Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know, for me, the main thing is I have the highest respect to people like you and a few of my other friends in ILAM the human rights defenders, lawyers who actually went all out to uphold human rights in Myanmar. These people, these lawyers have been to prison. Some of them, you have been to prison for 9 years, right? There are some who have been there 12, 15, 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
And for that, yeah, you have my highest respect, sir, for the things that you do. So yeah. Do we have any questions from the audience, Dr. Teh? Anyone else is interested in asking Mr. Kim Mongzo a question? This is a very golden opportunity because you hardly get brave speaking lawyers from Myanmar who's willing to talk to us.
All right. Let me just see. We'll put it out. I think for those who are watching us live now, if you have any question, you can put it on the comment button. Then we will try to pick the. Oh, there's one. Can we come and visit ILM and collaborate? So there are lawyers. Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes.
So,
please clarify our organization's leading persons. The General Secretary of ILM organization has in his record 20 years in prison. General Secretary, he has been in prison for 20 years.
Is that Mr. Utain Tanu?
Utain Tanu, yeah.
Yes, he's my good friend also.
Yeah. And U Kemongdan, Torwin U Kemongdan, the vice chairman of the organization, has also been in prison for long years like this. And in a record, in a history, a lawyer has been sentenced to death, but he has not been executed. That is from CALCC, that is a township in the northern part of the country. Yes, Uemien. He was he was not accredited as a lawyer because his license was took away from him, and we are trying to reimpose him as a lawyer like this. Three or four lawyers has been sentenced to death like this in our country in the past 30 years of military dictatorship.
I see. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Uki Mongzao about the future of the legal profession. I heard from Kenneth that you have always been very willing to help the young lawyers, and I'm sure that's got to do with your vision of the future. You're looking at the future of the legal profession. But at this moment, we have this coronavirus coming in and the impact on the businesses. We have spoken to many lawyers around the world, and they say that the number of transactions has gone down because the businesses are shut, and they say that there are a lot of challenges running businesses, including the legal industry, meaning they also have the difficulty and challenges to stay alive, to survive in this global pandemic. I would like to seek your view about the future of the legal profession during and after this pandemic.
Yes, the future, I'm always an optimistic person. I always look at the future in bright colors, always. Even in the dark days of the dictatorship, military dictatorship, I look at the future of the lawyers and the future of the legal profession in optimistic view. And in this pandemic period, after the post-pandemic, post-coronavirus, COVID-19 period, I'm optimistic about it. Yes, we have to make some changes, some adjustments, but the future will remain in good shape. Maybe there will be some changes and some. I think you have already read about in Malaysia. There was an article. I even shared that article that from a very famous journalist and theoretician in your country. She said that this coronavirus COVID-19 period, the mentalities and the workings and the changes of mind in this COVID-19 period will remain in the past and will change some of the ideals and some of the minds and some of the consciousness of the like this. So we also have to change concepts and mentalities in the future. For example, for the moment in a country, patriotism, I mean, blind patriotism has been rampant in the people, in our citizens, and in those citizens, even the lawyers are in a major part of it. There are some suggestions that we have to put up laws, statutes to protect the main nationals from the intervention of the other national races and the main religion, Buddhism, from other religions like this. There are even lawyers are saying out on those concepts. So in the past, lawyers are very have free minds. Lawyers are very independent of those feuds and those religious opinions. They are not very strict and they are not very strong-minded and religious. But now there are some strict religious, very conservative religious mind that will carry on to the future like this. Then we will have to face some difficulties dealing with the citizens and dealing with all the people like this.
I see. Now you say that the legal profession has to change the concept in order to survive, and I love when you said you have someone who is very optimistic. You think that the profession is in a good shape. I think this is a good way of embracing the new technology to new way, and for example, we are doing this video conferencing today to understand from you. Traditionally, we always like to meet in person, but because of coronavirus and somehow all of us are forced into thinking of shifting to digital. At this moment, I want to ask is that the courts in Myanmar, do you have courts proceedings by virtual or video conferencing? Is that something already or not yet?
Yeah, I have my experience in one case. That is the famous case in Naypyidaw and in our country, child rape case. A baby girl was raped alleged, by an alleged person, but the police arrested the wrong person and they put away the real culprits. And I stood for the defendants, and the victim, the parents of the victim also hired an independent lawyer not the public prosecutor. Under the leadership of the public prosecutor, the a private lawyer, the independent lawyer, also worked for the case. And we did the case in coordination like this. The victim's lawyer and we, the defense lawyer, we stood on the same footing. But in the court, we are of a different side like this.
Yes.
And
yes.
in that case, I have an experience of video conferencing with the girl, with the lady girl. That lady girl was put in another room that is accomplished with a child twice, and to make the child comfortable in a room. And in that room, a psychiatrist, lady psychiatrist, accompanied the girl, and we have to, from the courtroom, we have to make the questions, and that psychiatrist change the questions to be acknowledgeable to the girl in her own childish words like this. That video conferencing is very interesting, and there were no audiences like press, like only we defense lawyers, we the public prosecutor, the judges. There are two judges. It's a panel, a panel of tribunal of two judges, not one judge sitting, two judges. The two judges are lawyers in a courtroom, and on screen by video from the other room, only the girl and the psychiatrist. She answered, the psychiatrist make the girl answer and make our questions intelligible to the girl like this. So in our country, that code started using the video conferencing. It was aided by UNDP and international sponsors like this. So there are examples of that. So our organization, ILM, and me also are requesting State Union Supreme Court and all the authorities concerned to use video conferencing to make the court not suffocated by the people, so to be safe like this. So maybe in this period of pandemic, even in this period of pandemic, the video conferencing in courtroom testimony will start in a country like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kenneth?
Yeah, I have another question for our speaker today. But before I go to that, earlier there was I think there was a question asking whether Malaysian lawyers can go to Myanmar and work together with lawyers from ILM, right?
Yeah.
I think let me attempt to give you some background on this situation, so that I think Mr. Kim Mong-zo can then answer that question. You see, as far as I know, I've worked in Myanmar for a few months. I was helping ILM back in 2017, and one of the very interesting thing about the legal profession in Myanmar is that before ILM came about, there is actually no national lawyers body. So each country, each region in Myanmar, they have their own law associations. They have their own law associations, but there is no one association that unites the entire lawyers population in Myanmar. Yeah. So ILM is the first attempt to do that. And it has been quite successful so far, because ILAM members come from all over Myanmar. The CEC, the Central Executive Committee members, are all made up of people from different states in Myanmar. All right. So for me, this is the best time for lawyers from any country who wants to work with lawyers from Myanmar to go to Myanmar. Of course, after the travel restriction is lifted. But the moment that is done, I think ILAM would very much welcome friends from all over the world, especially from Malaysia, to work with them, because there is such a huge opportunity for cooperation between Malaysian lawyers and Myanmar lawyers. Mr. Kim Ong-zo, what is your thought about this?
Yes, Kenneth, I very much appreciate your opinion. Of course, we have been dealing with the International Law Association as a lawyers association. As Kenneth has all explained, our ILAM is trying to be established as a national lawyers association. So that means the nationwide lawyers association comprising all regional lawyers association, and we are for up to this moment we are somewhat successful, and we have branches in all 15 regions. In our country, there are 15 regions, 15 states and divisions and special area NAPIDO. Already 15 regions. In all 15 regions, we have branches and we have members like this. And we have established relationships with, for example, with Malaysian Bar through Kenneth and International Bar Association. For myself, I have to attend every conference of IPA, and I have to submit the situation in our country like this. In the last IPA conference in South Korea, Seoul, I attended that meeting, and the situation, I explained the situation of a country, and very much of the participants appreciated my report like this. And the ACLA, All China Lawyers Association, also have a memorandum of understanding with us like this. And Hong Kong Lawyers Association also came and visited to our country. And in a case, the writer's case, American lawyers headed by Mark Clooney have been cooperating with us. They have, because of our restriction, they have no right to stand in front of the case in that trial. But every day before the trial, in the evening, the representative of that lawyers group came to us, and we have some discussions about it, and we, Myanmar lawyer, the court trial things like this. So we have coordination with the international lawyers, foreign lawyers like this. And there are many, in the future, there are many things to be done by, especially in business law and business dealing. And for example, in China and Japan, through JICA, they try to do some trainings of mediation like this, and in the business law, right? All these things can be done with international lawyers, and we are always welcoming all those all our colleagues from International Lawyers Society to us like this. Yeah.
Sure. All right. I would like to ask you the final question about this COVID-19 pandemic, in the past few weeks or maybe a few months, has the country, Myanmar, enacted any new law specifically to address the coronavirus issue? We see that in the United Kingdom, they have the new Act of Parliament. We see in Singapore as well, and we understand that Malaysia is in the process of drafting a new act. But how's the situation in Myanmar?
Yes, in 1995 and 2005, there is for some laws concerning with epidemics, diseases like this.
Yeah.
But now there is no law still. There is no law that is being drafted or being prepared for the COVID-19. In a country, the lawmaking process is done by the legislative powers. The national parliament consisted of the two chambers. The two chambers, that is the national chambers and people's chamber, two chambers. That is the national parliament. But that national parliament has not been in session. And now I think the end of this month, before the end of this month, the parliamentary speaker has called to the session of the two parliaments. And in that session, there will be some thinking about drafting laws like this. Yeah.
Sure.
But now we have no way to build up the law like this.
All right, understand. There is a viewer, his name is Aya Mayet Nandi. He said, I am so proud of you, Saya Zo.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you for your yeah, thank you for
Yeah, so that's one of the comment that we have seen in Facebook. All right, for those who are watching us live now, thank you so much. Today we are speaking to a very respected legal practitioner from Myanmar. He's based in Naypyidaw. We have discussed an issue concerning the coronavirus, the COVID-19 in Myanmar. So for now, I'd like to invite Kenneth to do a concluding remarks about the discussion today.
Yeah. Thanks again. Before I say anything to close my part of the session, I would like to first apologize to Mr. Wu King Manzo, because I know I have promised you to visit you in Naypyidaw many times, but but we haven't had a chance to do so. So next time when I'm in Myanmar, I will make sure I go and see you. That is one.
Okay.
Yes. Before I end my part, I would like to invite our audience, especially our Malaysian lawyers, those who are willing and who wants to work and look at the opportunity of working with lawyers from Myanmar, to keep in touch with us, keep in touch with CALCC, because we are going to do some activities with our foreign lawyer friends after this travel restriction is lifted. So keep in touch with us. If you want to meet up with any Myanmar lawyers, you can contact me as well, or you can contact CALCC. They will pass the information to me. We have a lot of friends, a lot of lawyer friends in Myanmar, and a lot of them are very willing and very friendly. They are very willing to work with our friends in Malaysia. So keep that in mind. So finally, I wish to thank Mr. Kim Hong-zo again Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I miss my Myanmar friends a lot. So to you, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And I'd like to invite Mr. Ukin Mongzo
Yes.
to do a concluding remarks for the discussion today.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank you too for
You?
your
My pleasure.
invitation that makes it possible to appear on the screen and to make some conversation and heading to the Malaysian lawyers and Malaysian audience like this. And I want to share directly to my Malaysian audience and Malaysian lawyers. I represent the Independent Lawyers Association of Myanmar, which is a very active lawyers association. And therefore, I am speaking in representing the Myanmar lawyers to make you understand the situation of Myanmar lawyers. Myanmar lawyers are very optimistic about the future of democracy and human rights. Many of us are trying to work for it. And so we welcome the Malaysian lawyers, especially because, for example, in my relationship and in the relationship of ILAM through ICJ, we have many Malaysian legal experts and Malaysian lawyers who came us to train human rights laws like this. So well, we are very friendly and we think very friendly about Malaysian lawyers. So you can come to us whenever you need any, especially in any cases concerning with human rights or concerning with your citizens, Malaysian citizens, because you Malaysian lawyers cannot do directly in front of the Myanmar courts, but we can do. So in the case of the journalist, TRT journalist, there was a Malaysian female journalist. So I represented her, and the Malaysian lawyers, one or two Malaysian lawyers contacted me to do this, give their suggestions like this. Because Malaysian criminal laws, especially the penal code, is nearly the same as the laws like this, because it derives, we are of the former colonies of the British like this. So we can coordinate and we can cooperate. I will come to you whenever I needed assistance, and I also welcome you to come to us. And that is my invitation and my welcome like this. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it has been a very interesting session. I just see one final question. Is it okay if I take this question? There's one question that just came in. Again, the question reads, how about the refugee coming to Malaysia? I think this question is another interesting question. Perhaps we get some comment from Mr. Uking Mangzao. The refugees from Myanmar coming to Malaysia. Any comments on this?
Yes, there may be some problems and some confusions about that refugee problem.
Yeah.
Because in a country there are many people said that the refugees didn't come from Myanmar to any part of the world, like Malaysia or like this. Only from Bangladesh to Malaysia or from Bangladesh, that is the seaway, like this. But for my personal opinion, I am a human rights lawyer and I am a human rights defender. And so refugee or not, a person, if he is a citizen of Myanmar, a citizen of Malaysia, a citizen, no citizen, like refugees like this, but he has human rights. So anyone's human rights must be respected and defended. So
Right.
whether he is a refugee or even he is an insurgent or like this, his rights must be respected. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think that's the answer. And we have, these are just comments. Thank you very much. This person comes from, I'm not sure whether I pronounced the name correctly, Khin, HNINSEIN. This is on the Facebook. Thank you. And there's another person called Sandy Nien. I'm a Myanmar.
Those are
Yes.
Myanmar, yes. Nien
Yes,
saying
yes.
or like this, yeah. Okay.
Hi. Ming Kalaba. He said, I'm a Myanmar lawyer. Thank you, CALCC, for the valuable discussion. We are very happy that you join us today. And said, Sandy also put it another comment, say we deny refugee because Rohingya are originally from Bangladesh. So I think the way to sum up is what Mr. Ukin Mangzao said. I think we respect human rights, and we have to defend the human rights on the individual basis. And for me today, I think it is a very good discussion, eye-opener, to be able to discuss all these issues, a general issue as well as the very specific issues concerning COVID-19. It has been a great pleasure for me to be able to have this discussion with Mr. Ukin Mangzao, a very well-respected a senior practitioner based in Naypyidaw in Myanmar. I went to Myanmar, I think December last year. I went to Yangon and another island called Miek, a beautiful place. And the next trip, Kenneth's gonna meet you in Naypyidaw. Please call me.
Yes, I will.
I would love
Definitely.
to meet you as such a respected legal practitioner. I'd love to meet you in person. And for those who are watching us from Malaysia, from Singapore, and for other ASEAN region, watching us live now or watching the video later, feel free, if you wish to do a collaboration with the ILAM or the lawyers from Myanmar, I think this is a time, and they have also opened up the invitation. So please take this opportunity to do this more collaboration. For the audience, thank you so much for following us. I think there are still quite a number of people following us at this moment. We will be live again at 3 p.m. later with a lawyer from Philippines, and 6 p.m. with another lawyer from Singapore. So this is a marathon today, although it's a public holiday. But we love doing this to share the legal knowledge, to understand the regional legal landscape by sharing by the legal practitioners, the lawyers from around the world. So this is to build the value and to give more information to the public, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. And we are extremely honored that we have very good speakers and very good legal practitioners accepting our invitation to share in our sessions. And we are extremely honored with that. All right, so I think with that, we'll sign off for the sessions for Myanmar today. Again, thank you so much. Min Galaba, again, thank you. And stay safe. We shall meet in person again. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care.